Hi, hello everyone. I am Shiv. I have a very brilliant colleague along with me, Kirthika. We represent Everpure, erstwhile Pure Storage. We are here today to cover our exciting journey on leveraging AI for accelerating enterprise readiness QA for our customers. So we have found a lot of exciting outcomes. So we would like to take you through what has been our experience in leveraging AI. So I'll be covering these topics in the next 15-20 minutes along with Kirtika. I do not know the logistics of Q&A, but feel free if you have any questions. I would love to answer either within the duration or after the session. So we are using the 4A philosophy that is enabling us to succeed at Everpure. The first A stands for being adept, that is open to change. Be open to change and capitalize on the opportunity that is knocking on the doors. We have been very quick to adopt and embrace the change. We have adopted the usage of AI across our entire QE lifecycle. I'll walk you through that. It has helped us accelerate the outcomes that we work on as part of our day-to-day activities. We are seeing tremendous value add in everything that we are doing as part of leveraging AI. And ultimately, we have plans to become adept, that is, become nimble. Every company wants to do more with less, and that's our philosophy as well, right? We continue to reimagine possibilities that AI is bringing every day. It's evolving. So we are really, really enjoying and excited to ride the drive that AI is bringing on board. So we started with what objective we had in mind when we wanted to use AI. I think a lot of my earlier speakers have spoken about POCs and all. So we have come a long way from POCs to achieving actually measurable success. We'll walk you through those things. The objective was, first of all, anybody here from the QE background in the IT industry? Can you just show hands? Okay. Very few people, but it's good to connect with you all offline. But all the developers and the other functions can relate to what we're trying to say. The objective was basically to drive productivity and operational efficiency across the QE lifecycle. I'll walk you through what a QE lifecycle looks like. And also the point that we do not want to reinvent the wheel. We wanted to standardize the prompt engineering. As of now, we're in stage 1. That's why we wanted to standardize the prompt engineering so that there's learning and sharing and collaboration and making sure we use one prompts. And obviously, we need to measure the return on investment. So objective is to enable measurable cost optimization and eventually elevate product quality to make sure we have a good and better customer experience. For all those who are busy, everybody in the IT industry is busy. So I think this picture should align us to the fact that if we are saying we're very, very busy, that's exactly the reason why we need AI. I'll pause for a moment. Please digest this image. I think it makes a lot of wonderful sense for at least most of us in the IT industry. So we had some measurable goals in place. We have plans to achieve at least 15% productivity gains across QE organization. By the way, we are based out of 3 regions across the world. One is Santa Clara, second is Prague, and third is in Bangalore. So we have plans to achieve at least 15% productivity, 20% productivity gains, and eventually achieve at least 15% cost savings as part of measuring the ROI. How we plan to achieve that? Like I mentioned, we need 100% QE lifecycle penetration where we can apply AI to everything, and definitely cross-view adoption because we are based out of 3 regions. We have to adopt it across business units. The phased approach we are taking, the low-hanging fruit is measuring the time efficiency, where we just capture how much time we used to take without using AI and how much time we're taking using AI. We have tremendous outcomes again, which I'll show you there. The second phase is to measure the productivity gains. What do we do with the time saved? And so far, we've achieved a lot of tremendous goals from this time saving, which otherwise we would have been struggling for a few more quarters, right? So that's also important for us to measure, and that's where we are heading towards. And eventually drive a better customer experience. So the way we approach this is a big structure, a big picture structure that is define the entire QE life cycle, each of the activities that happens across the QE life cycle. This first slide talks about what we used to do without AI, right? Most of the people who are here in QE or even development can relate to all of these tasks that are happening here. But with the addition of augment, we found additional possibilities which were either very difficult or impossible for us to achieve. So this lists down at each phase what are those activities that we can actually add or enhance for our QE life cycle. So if we combine both the slides, the big picture for us is this. So this defines the left vertical defines each of our QE lifecycle phases. There is a design phase, there's an early testing phase, an automation phase, execution, there's a maintenance and sustenance phase, and also there is a test maintenance by itself as a separate phase, right? Test maintenance, I mean, if you keep on adding a lot of tests over a period of your multiple releases, then eventually you have to come back and see how many of those tests actually make sense to be retained and how many to be deferred or obsoleted. So that also we can actually apply a lot of AI. The color coding talks about the return on investment for each of those activities and tasks for us. Right now, we can claim that each and every task of this, we have defined clearly what we can do using AI and how we can achieve efficiency gains. Right? So people who are interested in numbers, these are the kind of numbers we are seeing, extremely encouraging numbers, right? Then these are just early numbers, and these are not POCs. These are actual tasks which we did and achieved as part of our normal day-to-day activities. We started a little late in October, and in a matter of just about a quarter's time, this is the overall efficiency that we have achieved across the 3 regions, 10.2% of efficiency savings across the QE organizations, which is almost 70 plus headcounts across the 3 regions, right? When I say early testing, it's like as easy as I generate test cases, but since I do not get the fully baked product or code line, I generate standalone scripts for each of these test cases. I also have the ability to check based on the code check-ins what test cases I can actually execute based on the feature and functionality available. That's the early testing phase that we have. Test automation, ultimately we have to integrate everything into a common framework where there's a lot of dependency between libraries across pre-existing or new libraries. That's where we are observing almost 60% time savings. Test design, right? Many of the times the test design, the source of the test design for reference could be just a development document or a PRD, product requirement document. But with the advent of AI and augment, Kirthika will walk you through how many more additional inputs we can use and utilize to make our test design a lot more comprehensive, at the same time achieve huge time savings. Some things which we used to take almost 4 to 5 man days of effort to design a test case document, today we are able to do that within a matter of 2 hours, including the manual review side of it, right? So our target is to go towards 20% in the next couple of quarters, that is time savings and efficiency savings, and we are well on track to achieve that. So the road that we see in the future, right? We have a North Star. Every initiative should have a North Star. For us, it's AI-driven quality assurance. Right now, we are at stage 1 where we are using augmented QE at scale. We are trying to speed up the pace at which we're delivering a lot of stuff. That's where we are right now. Second one, like Dr. Vamsi mentioned, agentic AI, we are heading towards creating agentic AI where we can repeat the repeatable, reusable kind of workflows using agentic AI. Stage 3, we are seeing that as soon as a code check-in comes, there is an intelligence which identifies what tests need to be executed, executes, probably fixes the code and gives a release. The ultimate phase is where we are expecting a predictive quality fabric where even before we release a feature to a customer, we are based on past experience, past customer experiences, past defects, we are able to identify what are the areas that need to be focused on and have an end-to-end automated customer release. So in short, testing to autonomous quality engineering is where we are headed, right? In addition to this, one more thing that we are doing internally is we are training open source LLMs like GPT and DeepSeek and Mistral for generating alternative methods of validation of our outcomes, right? we as a philosophy believe we own the output of augment as of today. There's a deep meaning to that, that is the human in loop cannot be excluded as part of this entire cycle. We own the outcomes, we are responsible if there is any issues or if any inconvenient customer experience. So we're heading towards that, and I will let Kirthika explain to you a couple of key initiatives that we have done which has been giving us a lot of good ROI. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Uh, I'm going to explain about how we have done the test design strategy at Everpure. For any given feature, we first see like how normally a QE engineer would go about designing his strategy for testing it, right? So we've taken the input sources like escalations data related to past versions of the feature, or the PRDRD documents for the feature, code check-ins done for the feature, is the feature interacting with any pre-existing features, and the basic architecture diagrams or the limit references of the pre-existing product, right? We feed all these documents to Augment, and we have a prompt or a rule file which tells it how it needs to generate the test design document, how it needs to understand each of these input sources, and similarly go through it and generate test design cases for us. So we have seen like efficiency improvements. We are able to generate test design strategy within a few hours, right? Which earlier probably used to take like 4 or 5 days for us to QE engineer to understand the feature and generate the test cases. And also productivity wise, we've seen improvements where the AI is able to generate test cases, which is able to like find bugs, which probably the human engineer has not been able to come up with. Um, the one good advantage of AI is that it can understand the code better and can identify like corner or edge cases, which is leading to like early test defects, which helps improving the product quality. So this is the setup that we have. We have our Augment engine, which is a plugin that we use in VS Code. We also connected with our existing internal MCP servers to some of the popular apps like GitHub to access the code base, Jira and Confluence to access like internal docs, or the Jira IDs basically to track our stories or defects, right? So once we feed Augment the prompt, uh, all the Jira links or wiki links or the code it needs to access, it will access through MCP servers, and then it will be able to generate the test plan. A sample prompt that we can feed it is like for any feature epic, we just give it the epic ID and the rule file and ask it to start generating the test plan. And the Augment engine starts working on it. It has a list of test plan requirements which we already have pre-fed it in the requirements file, and it'll start processing each of this, like first get all the issues in the epic, search the relevant comments, get the payload from the GitHub, and then understand the code, and then generate system test plan for it, right? This is a short demo video we have to show you how Augment works. So this is the prompt that we feed it, like a basic Jira ID, some ERD, PRD documents, or feature interrupt, pre-existing test plans, right? And we have also asked it to use the rule file. We have pre-fed the instructions for it to generate the system test plan. So you can see it starts going to all the sources like Jira and Confluence, which it connects via MCPs. It creates an execution tracker for itself on what are the tasks it needs to do. And as and when it does task, it updates the execution tracker as well. So in Augment, one good advantage is you can see like as and when it is doing something, it will keep dumping information so you know like what it is doing at that point in time. So after generating like individual test plans out of each of the input sources, it generates a consolidated test plan, which makes it more comprehensive in nature. Um, this test plan, you can see uh, how argument like formats it. It creates it in an MD format, but it'll add the entire strategy, right? What is the overview of the feature? What are the use cases for the feature? And also plans test cases based to the, it maps them to the PRD. This is the consolidated system test plan it's created. You can see like how it gives the test cases, detailed steps, what kind of features it covers, and the PRD mappings. We have another small demo. We've also been doing like incremental test coverage using AI. The idea behind this is you have some customer defects or some bugs getting fixed in the product, right? And you want to understand what is the fix and generate some test to test it, and also automate the test and quickly test the defect fix if it's correct or not. So the input what we feed to augment here is the Jira ticket or the code diff or commit hash, through which it can get an idea of what is it is that it needs to analyze, right? We ask it to get the code changes, understand what is the change, write tests, and then automate them. So we give it a rule file with instructions on what it needs to do and provide it a Jira task for which it needs to perform the test case and automation. It again accesses the MCP servers and quickly fetches information about the task, right? Like what is a bug and what is a code diff it needs to analyze. It prints out the root cause, the use cases, and what is the expected test that we need to do to hit this scenario. It does analysis of the code diff. In this stage, it finalizes what the test strategy for the fix and also the type of test it needs to run. And then it proceeds to create like test scripts. So you can also instruct it what kind of test scripts you want, like Python or Shell. It will do the coding in that language. So any language, it is able to do coding as well. So once it develops a script, it compiles it, verifies that syntax errors, and it provides us the command what we need to run, how we need to run the tests, and how the inputs need to be provided to the test to run it on a specific system. So this is a brief about the fix applied and how the command needs to be run. You can just provide the array and initiator IP. Because we're primarily dealing with a storage product. And then we can run the script. So those are a couple of demos. Thanks, everyone.
Do you all have any questions? You'll have any questions now, or we can take it later? Yes, please.
How we can use it in our project? Is there any configuration required?
I do not know the specifics of your project, but ultimately what we have realized is if you have a good strong LLM and if you have a very good strong logical prompts that you can associate to achieve your task, you can do a couple of iterations, and based on certain hardening of the prompt engineering itself, you can achieve many tasks that you can. What we are realizing is beyond the Kiwi lifecycle also, we are now enhancing into the entire software development lifecycle. As we speak, we have enabled a lot of dev-based unit testing, functional testing coverage also using Augment. So depending on your specific need of your project, I think you can try prompt engineering using some strong LLMs by creating a context either through RAG or through the LLMs itself, so that your prompts understand the context of the backend so that it can generate a better intelligent answer. Just GenAI might not help you is what we feel.
Hello, could you please share your product name on the other sites?
We represent Everpure. We are part of the product called Flash Array. It's an all-flash data storage array. We
Flash
are
Array.
into storage domain. Yes, erstwhile Pure Storage. We have rebranded to Everpure now.
Yeah, I'm a QA leader myself, and I'm happy to see that you're presenting the quality engineering here as part of this conference. So I have a question regarding this incremental test coverage that you have rolled out. This is for only the customer found bugs, or you are doing it for the regression and all the functional changes?
Yep, even the internal regression or bug fixes that the dev is doing, we are performing this.
I see the efficiency is good, but your productivity is just 30% or any difference. Why is that difference?
Yeah.
So efficiency is the time saved. Productivity is what extra outcomes you can achieve within that duration. So that's how we're measuring the productivity and efficiency difference. It need not always be directly proportional to that.
Okay. And this tool, the document engine that you have, that is externally you have procured, or that is?
Right. We are currently, like I mentioned, we are also trying to build our own internal LLMs by leveraging the open source and providing a lot of training material for them, either through VectorDB or a lot of context setting, where we have an alternate mechanism in place where we can validate the output of the other paid one. So eventually, I think I was talking to an old friend of mine. There'll be time when we'll be addicted to AI. And when you're addicted to something, if it costs, then it can become a little challenging, right? So we are heading towards
Cost
a phase.
can escalate.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
So are we integrating like Teams or recordings?
Sorry, what is the question?
See, like, you are trying to integrate like Jira conference and other things. So like, is it possible to integrate with the Teams? Normally when the meeting is happening, we are recording the requirements, okay? So somewhere like we have seen different sources like Teams, like even...
Yes, today there are a lot of open source MCP servers available for Slack, Teams, or a lot of applications themselves are developing MCP servers. So you should be able to find those open source MCP server and integrate with any of them.
Yeah, normally some requirements is clarified through the emails. So there is a like whatever the BRD or like feature requirement is there, but still gaps is there. When through the emails will need to flow and get the clarification. In such cases, are we integrating with Teams or emails or any kind of recordings, those kind of things?
Yes, for us in Pure, we are not. We don't have much of documentation in emails or Team Slack, but so we have not tried it. But you can definitely integrate, like to send notifications or something. For those use cases, we have integrated.
Thank you.
To add to what Kirthika said, I think every software today has some integrated AI solution, be it Google Suite, be it Microsoft. So you just have to identify your integrated plugin LLM, because in Google we are using, I think, I don't know, but at least Microsoft, or Google Gemini, right? Gemini is integrated to many of the applications. And we have an internal tool called Glean also, and it's not an internal tool, it's a company, where it passes through the entire internal repositories, all of the applications, your mails, your Slacks, whatever access you give it to that, it passes through all of the contents of that and gives you what you're looking for.
Quick question on organizations are trying to look at how can we achieve 2x productivity, 3x. Now with spec-driven development, and some organizations have their own driven development kind of stuff, people are building business spec and coming up with and design and task and coding, coming up with their own AI DLC process. One, they're moving towards more of a waterfallish approach, where they're spending more time fixing the code that they've already generated, which is driving them moving away from 2x productivity. So what is your suggestion on?
So you're talking about a backlog, right? That's always a priority that your company can take, and this is just my perspective, not my company's perspective, right? You either prioritize the new incoming features and payloads and focus on time to market with dependent quality, or you spend some more time on rebasing your entire existing backlog or code base to make sure it is understandable for the next step. But what we've seen is we really don't need to fix anything as a backlog. AI has the intelligence to understand whatever has been there in the past, whatever is there newly being developed. Based on the prompts, how we give the context, it can help us achieve a lot of good productivity. But I would like to still end my response to you saying, ultimately, as of now, we as humans own the output of AI. We cannot rely 100% on the output of AI, is what I would feel as a person.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, I wanted one advice. You were talking about people getting addicted to AI. So, what would you suggest college students? Should they gain their fundamentals first and then start using AI, or should they develop their expertise using AI solutions?
It's interesting you speak of that, right? Because I have a teenage son and he's relying on AI a lot himself. So, but eventually, when you try to start working, if you do not understand the fundamentals, I think you will struggle. So irrespective of what AI can give you, if your fundamentals are strong, I believe you have a better success path. That is my take on this.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Shiv, Kritika, for this demo. Like, I have a small query regarding the code diffs you are inserting for finding the optimized test cases. So, did you have any kind of RAG or something where you have done complete feeding of the code base or knowledge graph? Kind of?
Actually, Augment itself is agentic AI. So it creates a context out of our entire code, and for every prompt, it keeps the context ready. So we do check out to our code in the path. We do provide Augment the path of a code, so it has a context of our entire code, and then we feed it the prompt.
Yeah, my question was regarding the same with previous question. Like currently, what I observed, you don't have a lot of dependencies also, right? The code which we write, and for that you need to development team also doing their own context building, and does the test also do the separate context building, and how do you leverage that, or you use the common way? The other one is like, do you consider the previous test case also, because in the diagram it was not mentioned that you consider the previous test case also?
Yeah, to answer the second question, yes, we understand the previous test case as well. We maintaining a test bank where we have all the past test cases, so that Augment has access to that and can determine when creating new test cases if it needs to pick some existing one, right? And with respect to first question, okay, now you're saying the development world might also use this, and the QE world might also, how we are differentiating. I think developers are more focused on unit and functional testing at least our company, and we are focused on more systemic and feature interaction kind of testing. So our test strategies are completely different for both the teams.
Thanks.
To add to what Kirthika said, the more better way of asking the question of existing test cases is there's whenever a new feature comes in, there might be a lot of interdependency of an existing feature in the past, and that's where one of the inputs that Kirthika also mentioned showed that feature interop test case is also what we feed to an Augment prompt to identify if there's any new test cases that we can identify based on interdependency, or we can optimize any interdependent test case also. So that is also addressable by a proper prompt.
Thanks.
Hi, Everpure team.
Hello. So I'm from Siemens Energy, and we can implement this, but what I feel is there is a lot to domain knowledge other than the PRD regarding a project. There is more to domain knowledge, like I come from wind industry. So there's so much that it has to learn from components to how it has been connected to the grid. And so how do you connect all this to the Augment? So how do you store all the knowledge of a domain into this?
I'll give a slightly long answer. What drew me towards using AI is my interest in the stock markets, and when I started using ChatGPT to give it some English statements, it's just English statements, and it does some analysis at the back end. I do not know how it does, but it has a strong LLM capability, intelligence capability. So when you use an LLM internally within your organization, I'm sure it has the capability to go through that tons and tons and tons of data that it has, and that's what makes an LLM stronger or weaker. So I'm sure if you start trying, you'll be surprised with what you can achieve.
So we can also fine-tune the LLM based on the domain knowledge,
Yes,
rather
we can.
than using a RAG full of domain
RAG
knowledge.
is just a concept to make it more, make your output of your LLM, output of your prompt more accurate based on what you're feeding it. Otherwise, it can go anywhere and everywhere and give you some vague answer, right? Hallucinations can be more. But if you feed it a RAG, it'll search through that repository and give you a lot more accurate response.
Good. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. What I wanted to know is what is the LLM that is being used here? Is it something that you have built internally, or is it a publicly available one?
We're using Claude Opus 4.5 or Claude Sonnet.
Okay, and what is the context window size that is being used around?
So Augment is like agentic AI wrapper. It will, whatever prompt we give it, it'll attach the context to it, our code repo or the files that we want to attach as context, and also the rule file where we have given it instructions on what it needs to do. And this, it will then decide what is the context that needs to be sent to the LLM. And it'll get the response back and accordingly send multiple tasks to the LLM, right? Based on the tasks it has defined for itself.
Okay, and so you're also, building skills based on your code repository and your requirements, right, for this?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So I brought in the human in loop concept where our expertise and technical experience cannot replace the output of validation. That's the first thing that I answered previously also. Our fundamentals and our hold on the technology is mandatory. Second, there are multiple other options where we can feed the output of one LLM to another LLM and let it validate and come up with what is the better solutions, right? And ultimately, I think that's all there is to it. Like I mentioned, we own the output of AI. So that's where we cannot afford to replace humans as of now with AI. We need our own experience, we need our own expertise, and our logical reasoning to validate the output. So these are the couple of things that we are doing.
And a lot of context has to be fed for the previous whatever historical data and all. So are you summarizing it and feeding it, or are there any other mechanisms you have implemented?
Two approaches we are using. We are using, like Kirthika mentioned, existing LLMs, Opus and Sonnet, which we are connecting the repos through MCP servers. So that is our RAG context to the LLMs, so that will help. And the second approach, which I said, is we are downloading open source LLMs, and we are creating a lot of detailed vector DBs and make it training the models to understand if it can help us achieve what we are doing. So that's another option where we can validate outputs of both of these and see if there's any value add.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, I have a question regarding the inputs which were suggested for the augment during the QE phase. So you mentioned about historical data, you mentioned about feature interoperability. In a product, the product is a large-scale product, and every release is, related to a incremental change. So are you maintaining this data, the inputs, in some specific format, or how does the augment would understand that this specific historical like escalation or feature operator, how will it decide that what is relevant and what is not relevant, or is it manually entered?
So it ultimately goes down to the cost, because eventually every time you execute a prompt, you can either make your LLM go through the entire source code, again, entire past logs, outputs, previous things, you go through them again. So it will end up into you consuming more tokens, which will result in more costs for you, right? So either that, or you can train the model by creating a vector DB and keeping it as a reference, and every time just referring to that. And Kirthika was mentioning just yesterday that we don't have to execute prompts directly from Augment. We can write a script outside of it and automate the sequences where only where needed you can invoke the Augment LLMs, and otherwise we can actually refer to our own scripts to access existing data. You want to add to what you mentioned?
Yeah. So maybe for accessing frequent things like accessing Jiras or something, you can use an internal RAG, right? Sending it to Augment will incur higher costs. So we can mitigate such costs by using some internal RAGs for a very basic task. Like probably go do a Jira search and find some relevant Jiras and get back, which match the string, right? So we do try to optimize, curtail the context we were setting, trying to set for a task. Because the bigger the context, the input tokens are also huge.
I think we're being asked to leave because there might be other programs. Feel free to connect with us downstairs and we can talk. Thank you, everyone.